One day, Tom, who studies the ocean, takes his family on a yacht trip in the Caribbean. His wife Julia and their kids, Cassie and Ben, are with him. Tom and Ben are fishing, and Cassie is playing with her gadget. Julia decides to go for a swim. Suddenly, she feels something strange. She looks around, but the sea is calm. Still, she feels like something big and scary is nearby. At the same time, the yacht's instruments start going haywire, but Tom is too busy fishing to notice. Julia starts feeling worse and begins to drown. She screams for help, but her family can't hear her over the waves. The water seems to pull her away from the yacht. Finally, Tom hears her cries, rushes to the controls, and steers the yacht toward her. He jumps in, and with the kids' help, they pull Julia back on board and bring her back to life. Tom is upset because she didn't tell anyone she was swimming, which he always insists on. But Julia says sorry, and they let it go. After all, it's Ben's 13th birthday. They light the cake candles, give Ben gifts, and Cassie takes a family photo. Just then, Cassie's boyfriend calls to ask about her day, but a fierce storm interrupts the call. She's worried, but he says he's fine before the line cuts out. Cassie tells her parents about the storm on land, but soon they feel the yacht jolt. They rush to the deck and see huge whale carcasses floating around them, bumping into the yacht. Tom guesses the storm confused the whales, but now they're a threat. He jumps into the water to check things out and comes back injured, having cut himself on the propeller. Julia stitches him up as he explains that the yacht's shafts are bent probably from a whale's tail, so they're stuck. Cassie tries to call for help, but there's no signal, and the radio is silent. Tom checks their supplies. They've got enough water for maybe 4 days. Since they're on a shipping route, he hopes someone will find them. But then, eerie noises echo outside. They step onto the deck and see glowing objects, meteorites, and satellites crashing down from the sky. Tom risks starting the engine and dodges one, but it gives out. The next object lands so close, they realize it's man-made debris. Winds howl, instruments fail, and the family hides inside as waves toss the yacht. A strange ringing sound makes them feel sick. Tom fires a flare gun, but it's useless. They barely survive the night. At dawn, they're amazed to still be alive, despite a massive hole in the yacht's side. Stepping outside, they're stunned. The ocean's gone, leaving their boat stranded in a rocky desert. Later, Tom tries to cheer everyone up, saying not everyone could be dead. He checks the compass and realizes north is off, the Earth's poles have shifted. Something that's happened long ago in history. The seas moved to where land once was, and humanity might be wiped out. Cassie breaks down and hides in the cabin, asking to be alone. Julia takes stock of their dwindling supplies, while Ben releases colorful balloons, hoping survivors will spot them. Tom sends out distress calls and gets a reply from Nudo, a submersible captain who survived deep underwater during the disaster. Nudo says help won't come, communications are fried, but the sea might return in a week, and it'll be brutal. He suggests finding high ground. Julia tells the kids to pack, and Tom begs Nudo to save their children. The sub's tiny, and Nudo's partner died, so he can only take one. Tom convinces him to take the kids. The next morning, as they prepare to leave, Tom spots a man with a dog approaching. He greets the injured stranger and offers water. The man drinks, then suddenly attacks, punching Tom and stabbing him with a makeshift spear. Julia rushes over as the dog keeps her at bay. Seeing Tom's beyond saving, she flees to the yacht with the man in pursuit. He wounds her arm, but she climbs aboard. The kids hear her screams and help barricade the cabin. Julia hides Cassie and Ben in a locker with a flare gun, saying to use it only if desperate. The killer breaks in, grabs food from the galley, clearly starving, and searches the yacht. Julia arms herself with a knife. When he enters the cabin, she jumps overboard, hiding underneath. The dog attacks her, forcing her to kill it. The man hears, finds his dead dog, and Julia sneaks back aboard through another entry. He catches her, beats her, and tries to choke her on a couch. Cassie, watching, fires the flare gun. It hits the man, igniting the yacht. Julia tells the kids to escape, while she grabs their bags. The injured killer lunges again, but she kicks him off and jumps overboard. Ben finds Tom's body, and Cassie sobs. Julia kisses her husband farewell, but as the killer leaps from the flaming yacht, she grabs the kids and runs. The boat explodes behind them. They flee across the desert and take shelter in a canyon with a stream. But the water's salty. Cassie offers Ben her small share, but he refuses, feeling guilty over the balloons possibly luring the killer. Cassie agrees, but Julia shuts it down, defending Ben meant no harm. She urges them to prepare for a long trek, then spots the killer still chasing them. They rush on. That evening, Ben tries carving up a dead hammerhead shark, but Julia sees the pursuer and yells to run. They pass toxic waste barrels, pressing forward despite the risk, with the killer close behind. Walking the old ocean floor, littered with human trash, Julia gives a dehydrated Ben their last water. Cassie panics, sure they're doomed, but Julia insists they keep going. They rest in a crashed plane's fuselage. Julia shares how she met Tom at her hospital, recovering from a dive gone wrong. The kids cry, bidding their dad goodbye. At night, Cassie hears a noise and steps out. The killer nears, but it's a trap. Julia stabs him. By morning, his body's scavenged, hinting at worse dangers lurking. Julia checks the map when Ben dashes to a salty puddle, drinking before she stops him. He falls ill. They build a sun shelter from plastic chairs. Strange noises prompt Julia to peek out, and she wakes the kids to flee a new threat. They spot a ship with containers and people. But as Julia calls out, giant crabs attack. The strangers lock themselves in a container, ignoring her pleas. The family climbs atop one, though crabs gash Julia's leg. They watch the creatures break in and kill the others. Julia bandages her wound and faints. She wakes alone, but the kids return with scavenged food and weapons. Using a radio, Julia contacts Snudo, who's also faced sea creatures. He says the ocean's returning soon, explaining the crabs. She begs him to save her kids, but she's lost the map. Nudo fires a flare, and Ben leads them toward Ida Yellow submarine. The terrain's tough, and Cassie resents Julia's focus on saving them. But Julia pushes on silently. In a toxic canyon, a rock slide splits them. Julia orders the kids ahead, pleading with a reluctant Cassie to protect Ben. They reach the sub, finding a wounded Nudo, who urges them aboard, admitting he's dying. Cassie races back for Julia, low on bullets and fighting crabs. They reunite and reach the sub as crabs kill Nudo. A wave crashes in, lifting the sub over rocks. Julia faints, reliving their ordeal. Awakening, they find the sub in a ruined city, carried by the flood.